Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my little part of YouTube. And today we're going to be talking about Raw 25, the 24th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Its 25th year. And wow, just what a disappointment of a show. I hadn't really written any notes. I really didn't feel like I needed to. This is not going to be a play-by-play recap of the entire show. I'm just going to speak along and go through some key points, or what I felt were key points in the show, and just go ahead and give a bit of my thoughts and opinions. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so Raw started with Stephanie and Shane coming out, and they were just going on and on about how great Vince is, and how he created this thing, and how none of us would be here without him, and etc. etc. And they bring out Vince, and the crowd's chanting, "Thank you, Vince." I'm surprised no one chanted "Fire Roman" or anything like that, but I guess they behaved themselves tonight. Or last night. And Stephanie and Shane gave Vince McMahon a mahogany plaque, which, sure, why not? Anyway, so this leads to Vince going on about how he built this all on his own. He had no help from anyone. He did it all by himself. And then, you hear the glass break, and everybody just knows that's your ass. And there's a huge, huge pop from the crowd. Everybody's going crazy. It's Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. And basically, the segment ends with Shane McMahon receiving 2 stunners and Vince McMahon receiving a stunner. It was followed by a throwaway match. I'm surprised I remember this. Actually, it was followed by a throwaway match between the baby faces on Raw, the women's baby faces, and then the women heels. So there was Absolution and Alicia Fox, excluding Paige. I don't remember. It was a 4-woman, I believe. So I don't really remember who the 4th woman was. Going against Team Face, like I said, Mickie James, Asuka, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. At the end, Team Face won. Asuka looked strong. Just go ahead and flip-flop a little bit throughout the show. First off, the Manhattan Center got screwed big time. First off, I heard that the cheapest seat in that entire arena was $300. So if you're paying $300 to see 3 segments, I would be pissed. You had Jerry Lawler and King falling asleep. Oh man, that really sucks. But there were a few things. We hop on backstage and see Kurt Angle telling everybody to come on in. So it was Coach showed up, the Brooklyn Brawler showed up, Brother Love showed up, the Boogeyman showed up, just things like that. And there was another segment that ran throughout the night. It was the APA playing poker, and the first person to show up, they were playing poker with, Rhino and Heath, and the first people to show up the first person to show up, was Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, threw a big ass stack of money on the table. That was great. Love his laugh. He can still do the laugh. But basically, this segment culminates at the end of the show with what I believe was the main event, which was Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews versus Heath Slater and Rhino. I don't know how anybody could possibly care about that match. It was not good. It got thrown out. The Dudleys came. 3D through the table. That was the end of that segment. that's how that culminated at the end of the night. A few things. I just want to go ahead and say I walk with Elias. I love Elias. Elias is absolutely great. He had a segment. Oh, he had a segment before going to the ring with Jericho. Jericho showed up, wearing his Alpha Club shirt because he truly gives zero fucks. And to be fair, this show was very uneventful, guys. I mean, not. Yeah, it was very lackluster. I mean, DX showed up, the old guys, a bunch of 50-year-olds telling everybody to suck it. Undertaker showed up, said some stuff. It didn't really mean anything. It was... So the plan, apparently, is to have John Cena and The Undertaker wrestle at WrestleMania. The whole purpose of this segment with The Undertaker coming out, well, it really didn't have a purpose. He just came out and said, I've dug a lot of holes and put a lot of souls down, and now it's time for those souls to truly rest in peace. And he looked like he was about to tear up, and he just left. So, apparently, the feud was not announced last night for Undertaker and John Cena because WWE wants to cast some doubt, I guess. And they want people to think, they don't want people to realize that if Cena goes on to face Taker at Mania, that he's definitely not winning the Rumble. So it'll probably be announced next week. Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy had a match. Wyatt won. So the woken thing has no steam. There was not a lot of wrestling on the show, so if there's something I forgive me. The Club, or not the Club, but Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers, versus the Revival. The Revival got squashed. Then a bunch of old dudes did their finishers on the Revival, so that was disappointing to see. Because I would pay to see a Revival and Good Brother match, like on a stacked show. That is a match that I would definitely anticipate and look forward to. And it just was a complete throwaway match. Very disappointing. Oh, shoot, guys. This show was not... And that's bad because this is... I can remember their Raw 1000 show, where that show is most remembered as CM Punk turning heel on The Rock, but there were a few other memorable moments from that show. I mean, I remember Mae Young had the hand. She brought hand. That was something. It was something. It was memorable. Shit, this happened last night, and I can barely remember what's happening. So this I don't know, guys. Elias, John Cena, they're gonna have a feud. Chris Jericho, he's going back to Japan. Wow. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I can't really remember anything else. It was not a very exciting show, especially for a show that had as much build, as much hype. They had announced many of these people many weeks in advance. They had so many former divas, because that's honestly what they are. They were former divas. I guess now they're women superstars, but they had a lot of former divas out there. Kelly could have gone without seeing her, because I did not enjoy Kelly at all. Not even when I was a very, very excitable child watching the rehashed ECW with Extreme Expose. Didn't like her then. She can't talk. Her wrestling skills were horrid. Her entrance was always just really stupid because she would come out and just point at random things without actually even looking. So she would just come out, turn her head somewhere, and point in the opposite direction. So that didn't make any sense. I was not a fan of Kelly Kelly. But, oh, they also had the old GMs come out. Of course, Bischoff had the biggest pop. I marked out huge for hearing his voice, or for hearing his song, excuse me. I knew he was going to come out, and I still marked out hearing his song, so, take that how you will. And honestly, that is pretty much the show. I mean, Lesnar, Kane, and Strowman had a very, very, very underwhelming, lackluster, quote-unquote, brawl at the end of the show. It was very stupid because a bunch of guys came out, a bunch of, lower card guys, no one important really, came out to try and help deter the carnage of what would obviously ensue between these three behemoths. I'm trying to use WWE's vernacular here. And it was really nonsensical because, okay, so Strowman came just piss and vinegar strutting down the ring. And then you hear Kane's, if you've ever heard something that was way too loud, something that was to blow out your speakers, that's exactly what happened. Kane's blown out speaker sound over the PA system, it sounded terrible because they obviously can't have his pyro anymore because they're cheap. I mean, I thought if you're going to have at least one show that is not WrestleMania have pyro this year, it had to be this one. It had to be. And it just didn't happen. I mean, in my opinion, I don't feel like the pyro is always needed, but I definitely feel like it's a jump start. It's an excitement factor. It kicks off that you're about to see a bunch of grown men and women fight. You're about to see a whole bunch of action over however many hours, and it's just going to be a jolly old good time. And that's what the pyro is. It's that bolt of life that begins every show, and they don't have it, and it's very disappointing because you can always see at the start of every show the crowd are always into it, even though they have to sit on Mondays, they have to sit through an hour-long main event taping or whatever, but when the time Raw comes on, they just always just pop in there. They're so loud and vibrant, and it's always great. And then there's a 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute, 25-minute talking segment, and it just kills the crowd dead. Absolutely, absolutely dead. I've never been to a taping before. Well, that's not necessarily true. I went to December to Dismember. But I mean like a television taping for a weekly thing, a weekly show. Never been to one. I've been to plenty of house shows, been to a couple pay-per-views, but I've never been to a Raw or a SmackDown. And I just know that I would probably be the same way. I would get there, I would be excited, I would pay an obscene amount of money for a very bad seat, and just be very disappointed. Very, very disappointed. And that's really what Raw is and has been in a nutshell for these last few years. Honestly, you get there, or you turn your TV on, because this is the first Raw I've watched in about 2 months, all the way through. So you get there, or you turn your TV on, and okay, Monday Night Raw starts. Shane McMahon comes out, or Kurt Angle comes out, or Stephanie. And if it's Stephanie, you know somebody's definitely about to get emasculated. So you know somebody's about to get buried, and just Stephanie McMahon has the biggest balls in the entire WWE Raw roster. So you know someone is about to go down. So that's not a good way to start the show. Or you got Kurt Angle, who, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure Raw starts every week with a recap package of what happened the previous week. So you have Kurt Angle coming out, and Shane McMahon does the same thing on SmackDown. They come out and they announce exactly what you just saw on the video package. So they're wasting even more time that could be dedicated to wrestling, and they just fuck everything up. I was really excited for this show. I was really excited. I haven't watched the WWE full Raw or SmackDown in a while. I mean, I watched NXT pretty regularly, but I haven't watched a Raw or SmackDown in a while. And this is the show that they've been hyping for a very, very long time. They've been hyping this show for at least a month and a half. And it was not good. It was just not good. I mean, there was the opening, the opening stole the show. I believe right after the opening segment ended, I tweeted out saying, how could they possibly follow up on that? Like, what could they do? Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, their biggest draw ever, just stunned the boss. How do you... This is something that should have been saved for maybe the end of the first hour, beginning of the second hour, to get more life back into the crowd. Obviously, you had to start big, but I don't think you need to blow all your load on the first segment. So, another talking point that people are really pissed off about, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, he came out, the bad guy, came strutting down, and right as the camera zoomed in on his face, they cut to commercial break because you got to get that ad money in, I guess. But it was the same. Okay, they were sponsored by Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. I call it Hardee's here. And it was very annoying because a Hardee's commercial was usually the very first commercial that you see when they went to commercial break. And it was sometimes the last commercial that came on before they came back. And then when they would do that thing where it's like, oh, Raw is the longest running weekly episodic blah, 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 where they would have something flash over the screen. They would have the Hardee's logo, like, appear front and center before their own logo. And I'm like, what? Like, you guys are just really just... It was not a good night. If you're listening, if you're still following me at this point, this far in this video, because I know this is a long video, I apologize for that. If you're still following me, thank you. You are a real one. Thank you for supporting me. But this show, guys, was not good. It was not good. I am going to wrap that up here because this is a long video. And I don't want it to run too long because I don't want people's interest to die out, even though I'm sure most people who would have clicked on this video have probably already clicked off of it. But if you are still here, I want to say thanks for listening. And I want to say, like this video if you like the video. Leave a comment, subscribe if you're new. And thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time. Peace.